And if we hadn't said it, like they filmed themselves having sex on their first time having sex. Very bizarre.
You don't even know where everything's located. His dick could be low, butt crack high, kissing the roof of your mouth instead of in your mouth, like the right way.
Like, that's my butt crack, Beth. My face is up here.
You get it.
I thought, like, I remembered it being like she doesn't realize it's recording. It's just hooked up to the TV. So it's like, like when you're at Circuit City when you're a kid and you see the wall of TVs and you can see yourself.
No, Beth is
But
wild.
she hits the record button.
Yeah.
Greetings, my friends. This is Load Bearing Beams Movie Podcast. I'm Matt Stokes.
And I'm Lacey Roth. And as a birthday present to you, I let you get all of that out of your mouth before I spoke.
Thank you.
Did you notice?
You've let me say, hello, my name is Matt Stokes. You usually do.
I just did it again. Oh, I held back. I had things.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're 37?
Yeah.
Okay. That's hot.
And how old are you? You're a hotter age.
Oh, yeah. 40. Meow.
Yes, meow. You robbed the cradle when you found me. You hate when I say this.
I fucking hate it.
We were in our mid-20s, and the age difference seemed like a bigger deal.
It was. I was Bella to your Edward. I kept aging.
I was Renesmee, and you were Jacob, and you were waiting for me.
Always fucking say that when I call you the Edward to my Bella, or the whatever.
I'm flexing my Twilight knowledge, and you're like, no, Matt, it's beautiful. It's not problematic. It's nice. And I love that he loves.
I don't love
he
it.
He loves Bella because she has destined to have a baby in her belly one day.
And don't say belly. And I don't defend that. I don't think it's beautiful.
You told me it was nice one time.
I don't. I'd like to see receipts.
No, I don't have them.
Exactly. Hey, Matt, what a lovely shirt. Did you get that for your birthday?
Yes, for my birthday. I wanted one thing, and it was a shirt from past Load Bearing Beams guest Screen Time Coda.
Yay.
Check out him
He gave
on
them to us
TikTok
because-
and YouTube.
Yes, he's great.
Screen Time Coda, K-O-T-A.
K-O-T-A. That is correct. Because I designed the logo, so he sent us shirts, and because he loved us.
You designed his face?
Yeah, I
love that. I love the way that looks.
Oh, thanks. It was based off of a picture of him, but I drew it with InDesign, like Illustrator. I drew it graphically.
So we're wearing identical Screen Time Coda shirts.
We're super cute. On your birthday, we always like to match.
We really do. We have tons of birthday traditions.
Oh yeah.
We
ice cream cake.
Yeah, hell yeah, from Dairy Queen. The only place to get an ice cream
Thank
cake.
you. Baskin Robin can eat all the bullshit.
I disagree. I think
out.
it's also excellent.
It's not too much cake. Not enough ice cream.
Yeah, Lacey's attitudes about cake are pretty dumb. But what are our other traditions? We kiss very deeply.
Oh,
as soon as we wake up in the morning, just a deep embrace.
Ew.
We
so gross.
We express gratitude for another year on this planet together.
We should do that.
We should. All right, what are we doing? We're doing the movie road trip. The movie road trip, Todd Phillips, because today, September 27th.
Oh.
Todd Phillips' movie Joker Folie
That
à
is
Deux.
not Matt's birthday. That's just the day that this will be released. So can we just say that it is September 24th right now? And that is your birthday.
Why is that important?
So that people can send you gifts.
Okay. We'll just confirm that movie's being released then.
The movie. Well, while you're doing that, I'll say this. Thank you, Monique's Movie Madness. You're so sweet. You wanted me to have a piece of memorabilia from your actual collection from the 90s. Something I could not find anywhere else. And it's so cool that you purchased this with your little hands in the 90s and you kept it all this time. And I love how weird it is. It is rad rollers. These are collectible action marbles. Not sit around and fart marbles.
You can use these.
And they are New Kids on the Block, and they feature one marble per new kid. It's falling apart a little bit, but I'm gonna get some tape and some glue. Thank you.
You know what I say?
Fuck off.
Say goodbye to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hello to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Get some better movies finally. Sorry, John. All right, so we're doing the film Road Trip. 2000 film from Todd Phillips. Why are we doing this movie? Well, Todd Phillips' new movie, Joker Folie à Deux, is coming out in a week. And we didn't want to time it with that because we do spooky movies in October.
Prepare to get your spooks pants on.
Starting with
Get them off.
Starting with the 1996 Scream will be next week's episode. But today, Joker Folly, today, Road Trip. And this is my movie. This is a rare comedy from me, a movie I watched a ton back in the day. And I'll explain why. But first, I want to call to action, everybody. We do a bonus video every week related to our episode. This week, Lacey and I shared our favorite road trip movies. We talked about the movies that have road trips that we like. And the only way you can hear our answers.
They're super private. Unless you go to our very public
Twitter
social
account,
media accounts.
Load Bearing Pod, Instagram, Load Bearing Beams, and TikTok, load.bearing.beams. We do not put these bonus videos on our YouTube. So if you're paying attention to our YouTube, sorry, you got to take one extra step.
Also, if you care enough to indulge and to listen to all of this, why not a little more? Just be consistent. You know what I'm saying?
I make it easy for you. It's in the description of this episode is a link to each of those places. In fact, I put the literal link to the video. So our favorite road trips, you can watch it and then tell us what you think. What's your favorite road trip from a movie? Is it?
This is how we have a little dialogue.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. Is it?
Don't answer all the answers. You're not going to leave any for them.
Is it Euro Trip? That's all. Just get you thinking. Get you thinking a little bit. So we're doing Road Trip. Why are we doing Road Trip? Well, this is a movie that I picked, and I watched it a lot as a 13 and 14-year-old, mainly because there's a lot of nudity. And
that makes sense.
I think I also liked that this is a really dumb reason. It had an actor from the Animorphs TV show in it. The guy who plays...
Is it the roommate?
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of remember him.
Yeah, the curly-haired guy who loves weed. Yeah, he was Axe, the Andalite on Animorphs.
I can't believe I knew which one it is, but I remember him. Yeah, now that you say it.
And because I was obsessed with this, I didn't even like the TV show. I was obsessed with the books, but because the TV show existed, it made me feel like it was a legitimate thing to like. And so this actor, when all these actors were just anonymous Canadians, him being in a real movie made me think like, it's a real thing. It's a real thing that I like. So I think that's also why I watched it a lot. So
sad.
Tits and Axe the Andalite.
Tits and Animorphs.
There you go. It's not like I ever thought this is one of my favorite movies, but this is just a comedy that I watched a ton, and I thought it was pretty funny. I liked Seann William Scott. I liked DJ Qualls, and watched it again now after more than 20 years and thought, I like Seann William Scott. I like DJ Qualls.
I can't believe you don't like the main guy. He's so good. He's so likable.
I wouldn't say... Well, Breckin Meyer's whole thing is like being perfectly bland replacement.
Yeah, okay.
No value add, but won't take away. But the movie's not interested in this guy. He's by far he's the central character, but the fourth least interesting person on the road trip.
Beth is going to sleep with him. We should all sleep with him, is all I'm saying.
But that's different from him being an anchor of a movie we like to watch. And it even makes the DJ Qualls character. It is clear that the movie's like, well, this actor and this character is more interesting. We're going to pin the emotional arc on him.
You're right.
And then when it returns to Josh, right? Josh is Breckin Meyer. You're like, wait, why is the movie going back to this? I don't care about you.
I care.
You care?
I care, Breckin Meyer.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked Breckin Meyer and stuff, but it's always been...
His name makes one name.
I guess the thing I like him best is as Joseph from King of the Hill once he reaches puberty. But no, truly, he's just he's just bland white guy. He's likable. And
I know him from?
What?
Why I confused it with Scrubs is because the black guy from Scrubs is in Clueless the show with him. I forgot he's like one of the actors that does the movie and the show.
Okay.
That's what I did. A little switcheroo.
What's your history with Road Trip?
I definitely saw it multiple times. I definitely was a fan of Tom Green at the time. All the nudity would have probably turned me off a bit, but it was just so par for the course. I don't know. I'm sure I found that the same parts I found funny then I find funny now or like endearing now. It was not a staple for me. Mm-hmm. It makes sense though for it to be a boy staple because there's plenty of tits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a sex tape featured.
I think I actually ended up liking it more than I liked it when I was a kid. And it's not like I loved it. I just thought this is a pretty pleasant, well-made comedy. There's not that much to recommend other than it's got some solid jokes. It's got some likable energy. It's just kind of a fun hangout movie. And I like most of these actors and I'm having a pretty good time with them. So it's it's a pretty like flimsy script excuse for a movie. Just it's vignette. But road trip movies are vignette. You're just moving from place to place, and it's also like we thought of one funny thing to do with an old guy. He has a boner, and then we'll move to a new location because we don't know what else to do with him.
Who do we need to have grandparents in this?
Yeah,
Tom Green's for some fucking reason.
There's enough of that. What did you think of Tom Green back in the day?
I really liked him. I just remember thinking how weird he is, how different, and of course he made me uncomfortable. I thought he was cute, actually, kind of. Maybe I'm just really embarrassed of that part of myself because as soon as he was on the screen, I am cringing. But I remember having this exact same thought. Tom Green is so weird. You don't see him with buddies. He's not a buddy guy. He's not like, he doesn't work in tandem with people. If you're his friend, he's torturing you. If you're a relative, he's torturing you. Like that was his thing. That was his brand. So to see him as like palling around with some guys, but he's also still weird. If you view it from that lens, every interaction he has with them, it looks so forced to make him look like one of the guys.
Do you think they do though? Do you think they're trying to make him look like that? Because I always saw it as he's just there and he doesn't go on the road trip with them.
The normalcy of the other guys surrounding him, the way they look at him, the way they treat him. In this reality, he's just a friend. He's weird, but he's just their friend.
Yeah.
He's not like this oddity. What I'm watching and seeing would not have me react to him the way that they do in the room. And there's something about that makes me so uncomfortable because I'm thinking the whole time, these actors are like, what the fuck are we doing? How are we going to make this look believable? He is so fucking strange. Even when he's telling them goodbye as they're going on the road trip, he just randomly just reaches in the fucking window and like fucks with the person in the front seat and like, like he's being real cool buddy. And I'm just like, what was that like in real life? Just you're trying to leave and Tom Green's like
You were mad at the TV last night. You were like screaming at Tom Green, "Be normal!"
God, because
it's like what the movie?
Because it's so put on. It's not interesting. Maybe people have done it better and maybe if people have found a way to be odd and it's still not. I guess I just immediately remembered the mean stuff he does. I hate his movie. I don't like. It's an odd choice for me, an odd person for me to like because he's like a lack of heart where I need heart. And so I think it was just kind of off brand for me to like him at all when I did. So he always made me a little uncomfortable. And for some reason, revisiting him last night made me feel really weird about that part of myself. I was like, I almost didn't want our kid to watch. Like, no, I never liked this. Nope. I don't know what was happening.
Well, our kid did watch with us.
I forgot how
and
much
seemed
nudity.
to enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
they were on their phone the most of the time.
Yeah, it was like, how do we explain Tom Green? But it's like what we said years ago on our Roger Rabbit episode, where we're like, how are we going to explain to our kid how this movie works and how the rules work? It's like the kid's like, I don't know. You just go with it. This guy's weird. I don't know. He eats a mouse. That's what happens. So there you go. I missed the Tom Green thing entirely because I wasn't an MTV kid.
So you missed the Dennis Rodman thing too then?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, Dennis Rodman show. I was big into him too because he's this like counterculture guy. I loved all of that. I loved all the weirdos.
I was into him for his defense and rebounds.
I didn't even know
court.
He was a basketball player except for when you mentioned it.
And when my brother and I got Bulls jerseys, I got Jordan, but he got Rodman because my brother's a little twisted. Yeah.
Yep.
But my brother did like Tom Green. And in fact, I believe it was Elliot, who purchased this movie on VHS, not me. I just like, I think I'll take this for my own use tonight. Thank you very much.
You've used it, have you? Ew! You would whack it to this?
Sure.
Oh man. You boys and your wieners.
What else are you supposed to do?
Watch the movie. I'm sorry.
I did that too.
So wait, where did you
do that and then you watch the rest of the movie?
Oh my God. What part? Is it the bathroom part?
Sure. I think it was actually just the sex scene, but also when the black lady has sex with DJ Qualls, that too, I found that very sexy. I think because that part, and we'll get to it when she has sex, forces DJ Qualls to have sex. I mean, not forces, but that's just like the nerd fulfillment. Like, I'm a shy guy. I wish a woman would just be like,
just going to take care of this for me.
Yes,
I don't have to be a virgin forever. Though that's where my rape fantasy came from.
Explain, please.
And I will. I'm just about to. Thank you so much for telling me, man. That's a great comparison, and I'm glad to know that about you because there's just such a pressure about being a virgin that you just don't want someone to take it from you. Hopefully he's good looking and you've got a crush on him anyway. But just the thought of someone being like, no, you're doing this, lay down, shut up. That part of Welcome to the Dollhouse, the rape scene, the I'm going to rape you, but he never does it, is so appealing to me because she liked him anyway. It's like, oh God, it could just be over.
Yes. Well, and I think that
a very specific kind of forced entry.
She not only is not turned off by him being a virgin, but likes, oh, that's so cute. I guess
Everything
that was probably
so cute.
That was probably a part of the appeal to me, is like, maybe a woman will think it's attractive that I'm 14 years old and I'm a virgin. Can you imagine being 14?
There's just so much. I wonder if there's that same pressure to the extent that it was when we were younger. It was just such a part of the culture. Just the fact that Girls Gone Wild was a thing back then. Just every song, even every genre of music, every mainstream TV thing we watched, the girls were all perfect 10s, perfect conventional tiny frame, and down to fuck. And it was all so overwhelming to not look like that and to not feel sexy or like I'm supposed to be. Oh, I'll do a sex video. That'll make me an angel. Beth the Angel. What a perfect woman. She did a sex tape with you on your first night. What? That's
it is an
standard?
odd choice that Beth makes.
But see, it's just, wow, she's wild.
But your question was, is the same pressure on kids today?
Yeah.
On teenagers today? To hear the media tell it, these kids don't even want to have sex. They're too busy on their TikToks.
It's not that. I just think consent's so important. Like different the idea that people don't even want to have sex ever for their whole life, that's a perfectly normal identity now. Like I hope the things kids consume that become popular, but you're right, it's so spread out. A road trip doesn't happen and then everyone's watching that movie. There's so many options. So
yeah, I don't think
you can
anything
be in your bubble.
I also
more.
just don't know how much. See, I think a thing like Girls Gone Wild has way more of an impact than any movies people consume that teach them lessons about consent or about sexual expectations. So I don't know that like movies have any effect at all on people.
Then
I don't know if they ever did. I really don't.
I'm telling you, and maybe it's just the deep way I connect with my movies. But what those girls, especially ones identified with, wanted to do around sex, I wanted to do that. I was personality building. It was expectation setting. It's what boys thought girls that were cool did because those movies told them that. There's a reason why you were jerking off to it.
Okay.
I don't know why you're resisting this. I'm letting you know. It was a lot of pressure. All these hot girl movies. Oh, I'm boring you. I think you think I was hot then, and I was not. And even if I were, it's still a lot of pressure sexually.
Damn, I had something I was going to say.
Talking about masturbating?
No.
Oh, damn.
I think it was about Tom Green. So it missed me.
That Elliot wasn't a Tom Green guy, but do you think that it was your role to be a little bit different from Elliot? So he's got that covered. Like you and Elliot definitely had overlap, but like you had the band stuff, like that you could play an instrument well and that you had a band. And so you were probably more into music. Elliot kind of followed your lead on music, but maybe with culture and skateboarding and being into like more of a scene.
I mean, he was into music too, and he had an awareness of new music that I kind of didn't like. So he was watching MTV, and I just wasn't.
Right.
But he got super into Jackass and Bam Margera and all that stuff,
too.
and I did not. So I guess this kind of whatever kind of comedy, I don't know if it's cringe comedy, if it's it's absurd. Like I know lots of smart people who say like, actually, Tom Green was great. Tom Green was a genius. People even stick up for Freddie Got Fingered. Freddie Got Fingered was on the Criterion Channel recently. A movie. I would
revisit that
on Criterion. It has the thumbnail of the movie, and then the name of the top will be D: David Lynch, D: Ingmar Bergman, like just director, and then this giant name, and then D: Tom Green. Freddie Got Fingered, and
I would revisit that movie.
I've never seen it.
I there's just one part in particular. And as soon as I see it, I'm checked out because I don't know what the movie's capable of after that, and I can't remember.
Jacking off a cow?
No,
what part is it?
there's a very serious compound fracture that happens really early on in the movie. Someone's skateboarding and his bone comes out of his leg and he's freaking out. And Tom Green's reaction is to go over and lick it. And like the idea that someone could be that hurt and staring at their mortality like that, and for someone to not listen to them, it's just right there in the category of listen to the injured person.
Yeah, I mean, this is your South Park thing.
Someone cut their hand very seriously at this conference I was just at, and if someone was fucking around and wanted to lick it, I mean, I know it's it's supposed to be at the top. I am not okay with blood. I am not okay with injury. I know that a cold makes me feel like I'll never be the same again, so I can't laugh at these things. I'm too much of a pussy when I get hurt.
I think this would thrill Tom Green to know that you have this reaction.
Good.
Like, good. I'm
thrilled.
trying to upset you.
I know. But I saw the art in what he did. I saw how different he was. So I don't have to like all of it.
Mm-hmm. I see the scene where they just let him go. Tom, just go. Just sing your song about the owl says who. And
it's only three name guy singing along with it that makes that funny.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not like I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I am kind of appreciating like I don't like this, and I don't like this kind of comedy, and I just generally don't like musical comedy. But you know, I could see a world where someone does, and I do kind of like that the others are just kind of singing along. That this is just part of their world, is that this guy just sings these songs.
It's what makes that fun for me. Without him on the bed singing along to it, it's not as enjoyable. It's a nuisance. And this was before What Does the Fox Say? So that song was just a little bit more, really had a message until What Does the Fox Say? In fact, rip off from Tom Green.
I also thought of What Does the Fox Say? I wonder why. It's funny. We've mostly talked about Tom Green, and Tom Green is such a small part of this movie, and he is front and center in the marketing. And I tried to do, our history segment's coming up. I tried to find information on like, okay, so does the production schedule of this movie, did they shoot it and then Tom Green became a big star? So then they shot wraparound segments featuring Tom Green.
You were certain
for this
of that
totally
when we were
unnecessary
watching.
story, but I couldn't find anything to confirm that.
There's no way. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the wraparound has as soon as it was happening, I'm like, oh my God, this is one of those movies with a completely unnecessary wraparound. I don't know why anyone would just have the movie. What the fuck did it do?
So yeah, my guess would be that is exactly what happened, that they filmed it with him as an actor in it who doesn't go on the road trip, and then they realized we had access to this big star, and then now we have to set up a new production. We don't have any of the other actors. So what do? We'll have him giving a tour to all these new actors. We'll film it, 6 months later.
Right.
And tie it into the story. Or unless it's just like they needed to get to 90 minutes or something, and this is the only way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look into this, but I do want to find out when did Tom Green become the thing that he became?
His show started in 99 on MTV.
Fine.
And this movie probably entered production in 99.
I see. Okay. So, because that's in my mind, it did not take him long to become like a sensation, because whoever was going to like him liked him right away.
Yeah. Well, just from Wikipedia, I saw that he had a show on Canadian, like public access, that became like this cult object.
Yeah.
And eventually in 1999, it got picked up on MTV, and that's when it took off. So I could see them hiring this guy as this weird, obscure alt comedian as an actor in the movie.
Sure.
And then they shoot the movie, and then the show starts on MTV, and Tom Green mania takes off.
Right. And you're saying that there's other Canadians in this movie? Did you say that?
Yeah. I mean, Paulo Costanzo is Canadian, I believe. I don't have the other.
Just was wondering, he still seems kind of obscure to even have ended up in this. But
well, Ivan Reitman's Canadian. I don't know how plugged in he was to the scene, but Todd Phillips was like sort of involved in this sort of alt comedy world.
Okay.
Let's talk about Todd Phillips and the making of Road Trip. Todd Phillips, who was 30 years old when he
Fart
made
House. Oh, Dyslexia for the win. That says frat house. It could. We can't watch Tom Green and then go to a word like frat.
Todd Phillips was 30 years old when he made Old School, and he's the director. And before he directed Old School, and Old School was his, not Old School, Road Trip. Before he directed Road Trip, he made 3 documentaries. The first was Hated, Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies, which he directed as a student at NYU. And it was this underground hit about Gigi Allen. Do you know who Gigi Allen is?
A singer.
He was a singer and like sort of outsider artist / transgressive performance artist who he was ostensibly like a punk rock singer, but at his shows he would shit on stage and throw shit at the audience and eat shit and vomit on fans and stuff and beat them up. And
he ate shit, so I think he needs to vomit then. That he just sounds like he's committing assault.
Yeah, and he would get arrested and stuff. And it's clear like this guy was mentally ill, but it was let's weaponize your mental illness to say something about society. And Todd Phillips is like, this is the best. This is something that fucking people can't handle. And so
is it good, this documentary?
It got some praise at the time. I have no idea if it's good. I don't want to watch it. This kind of thing has never impressed me. And all I see is like, you're exploiting a mentally ill man, but you know, they would say like, yeah, that's the point. Why are you don't be so fucking woke, you snowflake.
Oh,
if we exploit his mental illness.
Quite the conversation with an imaginary person. Yeah.
And while he, was promoting the movie, he wrote a letter to John Wayne Gacy in prison and asked if John Wayne Gacy would design a poster for the movie.
Stop it.
And he did.
Stop it. This is like, no, this is like Firefest being in Pablo Escobar's fucking island. That's what this is. It's like, just another little piece of John Wayne Gacy. This was graphic design his passion. It looks like shit.
I don't think this was not the John Wayne Gacy. Well, this looks like shit. They made replicas of the John Wayne Gacy posters and sold them and raised $10,000 for the movie. And Todd Phillips says John Wayne Gacy's basically an uncredited executive producer on the movie as a result. This convicted murderer who would later be executed.
Oh, people named Todd need to just jump off a fucking sofa. I don't want him to get hurt. Just a sofa.
Remember when I was writing a novel?
I remember.
And the doofus dipshit antagonistic character of the novel. I said it was
too on the nose.
Name is Todd. And you said, that's not believable.
Not believable.
And I'm like, but people are named Todd. There
Idiots
are people
are named
listening
Todd.
And watching right now named Todd, who you are really upsetting. But Lacey doesn't care who she upsets.
I'm kind of like
Joker.
Gigi.
You really are.
I'm the Gigi of this podcast. I'm going to shit right now and eat it.
Men named Todd, look out. Women who have small butts, look out. Lacey thinks you're worthless.
Yeah.
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 So Todd Phillips would go on to make a documentary called Frat House, which Lacey saw the thumbnail on our PowerPoint. And she said, Fart House.
We're talking about Tom Green.
Frat House. It's about frat culture, and it gets into the fucked up world of frats.
Great.
And, you know, he later made the movie Old School. So he's just very into this world. And the selling point of the documentary is like, this is going to examine hazing and the dark underbelly of frat housery. Whereas
sexual assault?
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie.
Look how dark. I mean, it looks like a horror poster.
I've always just assumed this is about like how he loves fucking frat guy. I mean, he's part of this movement called the Frat Pack, you know,
you don't get to name yourself those things. The Brat Pack didn't name themselves.
Right.
The Rat Pack did.
Right. But it seemed like this was like cool guy comedy. This era that Todd Phillips was a big part of.
You watched Old School recently, so I don't remember how glorified it is. I can't remember.
It's not really glorified. It was a different kind of movie than I thought. It was more benign. There was way less. I assumed Old School would just be filled with just people calling each other F slurs the whole time. Only one F slur, and it's at the beginning of the movie.
Hey.
So I'm like, yeah, hey, not that bad. Not that you can't have F slurs in your 2003 movie and it be good. It can. It was a more gentle movie than I was expecting.
Right.
All right, but he makes Frat House, and HBO picks up but never airs because of allegations that the footage in it is staged.
Oh.
Todd Phillips.
The only HBO documentary to be banned from broadcast, not because what you think.
That's what it says on the poster.
Yeah. It's because we did things that were illegal in a boring way.
Todd Phillips said in this interview with Howard Stern that I listened to that it was a misunderstanding that the people in the documentary signed consent forms or signed release forms, but they were drunk, and they said later that they wouldn't have signed them if they were sober.
Yeah, consent doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Anyway, this frat house movie airs at Sundance and gets some buzz at Sundance. And Ivan Reitman, the producer, the director of Ghostbusters, lots of other movies, and a super producer who keeps coming up on this show. He's produced lots of movies that we talk about. Saw the movie, liked it, and he was a writer producer of Animal House, and Todd Phillips says the documentary was trying to be the documentary version of Animal House. So they hook up, and basically Reitman signs him to a deal to write and direct a feature film, and that feature film is Road Trip.
That's a crazy jump up. I don't know. It just feels like you skipped a couple levels.
I think that, but in the 90s, I mean, Sundance was that. Sundance was you get a movie that gets some buzz, and it's like a feeding frenzy. Like producers were going to Sundance to try to find the next Tarantino or the next Kevin Smith. Like anybody could be a potential.
Okay.
And it's only like this Road Trip was a small movie. It was produced for $16 million.
Oh, very small.
It was produced for DreamWorks, and this book that we've mentioned a lot during the summer of Spielberg, The Men Who Would Be King, about DreamWorks, has a little bit of a tidbit about this movie. The DreamWorks live action movie studio was kind of floundering. It had like the original vision for DreamWorks was like where artists can go and thrive, and they'd won some Oscars, but weren't necessarily having some big hits. So now their mantra is like, just make movies. Please just start making movies.
Netflix, whatever will come here.
What do you got?
Right.
We'll do it. So Jeffrey Katzenberg is like, he gets on the phone with his friend Ivan Reitman. He's like, what do you got? Road Trip? Good. Let's go.
Sounds fun. Sounds like a trip. Get in.
Exactly. Yes. $16 million. It's a go picture. They make the movie. It goes on to gross $120 million worldwide on $16 million budget. DreamWorks a few years later would produce Old School, which was another solid hit for the
I very much liked Old School.
Yeah. It was fun. I like Road Trip better. But Old School was like not like annoying in the way I thought it would be, but it also just wasn't funny enough. I felt like it might have gotten a lot of juice out of people just seeing Will Ferrell in a movie like 6 months ahead of his like movie star explosion. And it's not like he's just doing his Will Ferrell thing.
He's the Tom Green of the movie.
No, he's like more important than that and more involved.
Just say yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's the Tom Green of the movie. Now that you've seen Will Ferrell in so many movies, it doesn't seem as impressive.
I got you. He wasn't off the leash as much. It wasn't being like told to just do you, buddy.
Right. He's a little subdued. Yeah. He's a little more subdued in that movie.
And he plays like a beta, right? Like he doesn't have a domineering.
Yes, exactly.
It usually is not what you do with Will Ferrell. His cockiness or his just confidence, self-assuredness is what brings out I think the funniest kind of characters that he does, and that includes Elf, because that Elf is very confident himself.
Yeah,
I don't know. You can't take someone that looks like Will Ferrell and make them someone who's not feeling themselves.
Like Road Trip, it also has the thing of its main character being the least interesting character. With Luke Wilson in that movie.
Luke Wilson's always the most uninteresting lead character.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So Phillips.
Your brother's more interesting.
Yeah, no one would disagree with that.
Your brother.
They're brothers.
Your brother.
They're brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. Phillips.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like he took Old School to a copy machine and went, do it again. By Starsky and Hutch, because he takes Ben Stiller, who I would say is definitely a counterpoint, an equal match to Will Ferrell at this time, I would say, and from the same spaces, and then you get Owen Wilson to me, and these are the leads of your next movie. I don't remember Starsky and Hutch being good.
I remember it got pretty good reviews. It was like, oh, this is actually kind of good because as an adaptation of a TV show that people make fun of.
Okay.
From cheesy TV show from the 70s.
I mean, it's got Snoop Dogg.
But this is his last hit for a little while. But the frat pack era of comedies, the Adam McKay, Will Ferrell collaborations have this sort of Todd Phillips and Adam McKay and Will Ferrell are like top of this mini movement in American comedies that then kind of gets supplanted by the Judd Apatow more slacker and weed oriented and nerdier comedy.
And more like thinking. There's more. I mean, Judd Apatow is like heavier in the heavy moments.
Yeah.
If he puts them.
And less just like joke. Like these movies are just joke factories. They're just joke delivery vessels. And to this day, people complain like, why can't we have comedy movies that have jokes? Why is every comedy a drama with occasional jokes in it?
Right.
And I think that started with Apatow. Like, no, we're really going to say something in this movie, or this is really going to be about something. So I know all of that was like too oversimplified, and there's like, and Apatow worked with Adam McKay and was involved in that era of movies. So it's super oversimplified. This is a broad overview of a movement of comedies. And then Todd Phillips makes School for Scoundrels with Billy Bob Thornton and John Heder, which is a flop. And then he he directs The Hangover and does that on a low budget in exchange for points on the movie. And it becomes the biggest R-rated comedy of all time. He gets insanely wealthy as a result.
Dang.
Huge hit. What do you think of The Hangover?
Fucking loved it. It came out right when it's what Steven went to see.
Who?
Hi. It's what my ex-husband went to see on our bachelorette party nights. That's what they watched. Okay. So it came out at just the right time, right? Because the movie is about a guy who's going to get married the next day, and Steven was about to marry me the next week. So I don't know. It just came out and it just became, and then I watched it and I fucking loved it. I love anything that Bradley Cooper. I fucking loved him. I just was like, tell me more, Bradley Cooper. But I also just found it really funny.
All you gotta do is trust me.
All right, until A Star Was Born. And then I stopped fucking trusting him.
That was when A Star died.
No, he was too good and I can no longer watch. I can't look.
We watched fucking Leonard Bernstein. You liked that. And now you
also broke my heart. I'm not watching another fucking directed by him movie. He makes me cry for 20 minutes and then he fucks me up for months. No, thank you, Bradley Cooper.
I saw The Hangover like a year afterward, and it was like when there's a comedy like that, and I think Bridesmaids was a similar thing, was so hyped up for me that when I saw it, I was like, it's fine. Bridesmaids I liked way more. I think The Hangover, I just so cannot relate, and I don't have to relate to characters in a movie, but a bachelor party is like so far away from my world that I don't know. I wanted to watch it again to prepare for this, but we ran out of time.
Bridesmaids, I still watch once a year. I love that movie. So
now I'm not a bridesmaid, but I like Bridesmaids.
That's a stupid thing to say. Like, I can't relate. I mean, I think what you more are thinking is like, I wouldn't hang out with any of these people, and it is a hangout movie. Like, you kind of gotta want to like be in their presence, where not every movie's like that. But so I just want to make sure you are put on the record. He doesn't have to relate to or understand the subject matter really well of the thing he's watching.
Yeah, it's like, I don't even get it. What are they doing? So then he makes Due Date, which is a flop. Or wait, is it? With Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis.
I don't remember being good.
Hangover 2, Hangover 3, and then this movie War Dogs, which is a pretty big flop, like pretty high profile, big budget comedy with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller that didn't do well. And then Todd Phillips, who'd always been saying annoying shit in the press, like in 2010 when he he was talking about the writer strike of 2008, said it was a stupid strike and he doesn't think any union should exist, and he's been like a anti-union guy.
Always the sign of a great guy.
When Joker in 2019 was coming out, he started giving a lot of comments about how Hollywood had gone woke and he wasn't able to make the comedies that he used to love making anymore.
Just get funny in a different way, man. Maybe your humor was cheap.
Well, that's what Mark Maron said, because Mark Maron is in Joker for a scene, but he said on his show in response to Todd Phillips saying that he can't get his comedies made anymore because everybody's too offended by everything.
He just can't fucking switch gears. Yeah,
it's like, well, it's just rich of you, somebody like you saying that, like, because of course you could get a comedy made. You could do anything you want right now. But if audiences aren't responding to what you used to be selling,
right, then
you have to, it's your job as a comedian to adapt.
And Mark Maron is a great example of someone that he's very introspective, very reflective, very like open to being wrong and stuff. And it's the person like that who can be a comedian that lasts and lasts. And there's so many comedians who have turned, conservative or whatever, because they're so spicy about it. They feel so, the kinds of things they used to say just killed, was so funny because punching down is just the best, and they can't figure out how to do anything else. And so they're total shits about it. And it's not just men, there's women too, but it's sad to watch.
It's also not even true. Like Dave Chappelle is paid so much by Netflix and his specials do so well on Netflix, and he goes on his Netflix specials and says, I hate trans people, or whatever it is he says. And he's like, and they can't stop me from saying that because my specials will get too many views. So like, of course, if you're valuable to them, you can continue saying whatever you want. So like I tried to look more into this because I knew this is the stuff he said. And here's the quote. And he said it to Vanity Fair in 2019. Quote, go try to be funny nowadays with this woke culture. There were articles written about why comedies don't work anymore. I'll tell you why, because all the fucking funny guys are like, fuck this shit because I don't want to offend you. It's hard to argue with 30 million people on Twitter. You just can't do it, right? So you go, I'm out. And you know what? With all my comedies, I think that what comedies in general all have in common is they're irreverent. So I go, how do I do something irreverent but fuck comedy? Oh, I know. Let's take the comic movie universe and turn it on its head with this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're going to really do something. What well-tread territory for you to whatever. Anyway, but watch Bottoms, watch Babes, watch watch any kind of comedy. I wish I just had come up with one more title. That Thelma. I want to see that got amazing reviews. It's about an old lady. Like just watch things that are being made now that are funny and they are just irreverent. They're just as gross, but they're inclusive and they're gross about things that you never really thought about before, and they can still be just as shocking. It's just now we're talking about things from perspectives of everyone else too, which by the way is fucking funny.
So Mark Maron said a similar thing. Did I write down what he said? It was so good. Yeah, okay. So from Mark Maron in 2019, quote, bottom line is no one is saying you can't say things or do things. It's just that it's going to be received a certain way by certain people, and you're going to have to shoulder that. And if you're isolated or marginalized or pushed into a corner because of your point of view or what you have to say, yet you still have a crew of people that enjoy it, there you go. Those are your people. Enjoy your people, end quote. And he also said in that episode that the only thing that's really changed is an emphasis on not punching down. And like, to me, that's the idealized vision of comedy is to speak truth to power, is to punch up, to make powerful people feel uncomfortable, which is why I've always kind of been on Christopher Rock's side in the
Christopher Rock.
Yes, when Christopher Rock on Chris Rock's side, when he joked about Jada Pinkett Smith, like, yeah, he's an asshole, but like, let's keep in mind, he's making a joke about a super rich and powerful person. Mm-hmm. And he got punched for it. And it's like, yeah, him facing the consequence of his, but like one thing comedy should be used for, I think rich and powerful people are an appropriate target for being mocked a little bit. Friendly fire.
What he got was friendly fire. You want to make a joke, well, then you can also get slapped. But at the end of the day, you're both just rich people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't make a movie anymore. You don't want to have exposure to people that don't make you feel like you're on top and that you know things. Like if you're not totally sure what's funny and you would need to like ask a younger person or ask a person of color or ask a person with a disability or whatever, and because you're not any of those things, it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't make a movie. And you're blocked, you're stuck. Then stay where you're stuck.
I also I guess I just wish I had more time to watch more of his movies, because I feel like Road Trip, if you put it out today, how many changes would you even have to make for it to be appropriate, whatever that means, in 2024?
I guess I would need to see more examples of other movies shooting for that age range now, because I don't think that I think comedies are like probably the least likely thing we are to watch, even though they're some of my favorite things to watch. It just, if I'm going to spend time on a movie, I'm trying to watch things that people are talking about more. So, I mean, I just don't even know that teen comedies come out they must, but I need to see what they're saying so I can say if these thoughts, I don't think you can make this movie.
You can't make this, but what about it would not work today?
Auctioning girls.
That's not something that happens like at frat houses. It's like, it seems pretty good natured in the movie. Yeah,
it totally is. But like it's all about the framing. All the gratuitous boobs, even though they explain it because it's like, well, we wanted, there's your reason. It could just be we wanted more tits in this movie. So if we have Tom Green telling the story, we have a reason for all the tits. He even says as much. What else? I mean, it was a much more gentle movie than I thought. Again, maybe Todd Phillips has like a lighter hand than we remember. Obviously, you can't body shame that. And even as we were watching it, we're watching the sex scene and all the parts with the actress who has sex with the nerd. Why can't I think of his name?
DJ
Qualls. As soon as she was on camera, I'm like, she's fucking gorgeous. She's a model, and that prompted me to make you stop the movie and be like, I think we have made some advancements with like normal body expectations. I'm looking at the majority of these girls and going, that's not real. And then I see her and I'm like, I know whenever this movie was made, I was supposed to go, damn, but all I see is a fucking model. I mean, she's gorgeous. She's normal sized. So
I mean, she's larger
than we're used to seeing, but I'll bet she's pretty close to the average size. The average size person is 16.
But it's almost like, so when you see her, you don't even kind of realize it. So the movie has to do with these over the top things, like have her sit on a swing and dip down into the ground.
But at that time, people did realize it. That's why the big joke is to show her underwear, which are, by the way, the size of my underwear. Like, I remember them being like this big. I remember them being joke like underwear. Yeah, like crazy. And then he opens it. I'm like, no, that's literally the ones she was wearing. They're just normal sized.
Yeah.
But it was a huge joke. And everyone on that bus goes, ew. Where if fucking Paul or whatever his name held up Beth's underwear, everyone would have been like, let me smell them.
I guess I do like though that like he doesn't care. He's like, whatever, it was, I had a great time, and then they all just move on.
That's true. So they don't harp on it.
All in all, it's kind of a nice experience. Other than the fat shaming, but even when I was a kid, I did find it hot. I found how like just sort of sexually aggressive she was. To be hot and charming. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that's a thing that, but like, is Todd Phillips going to say we lose the movie? The movie doesn't exist anymore if we can't have her be so fat. There is
wait, the movies that you wouldn't lose her, you'd have more people that look like her.
What I'm saying is, if he can't make that joke anymore,
right,
what's the point of even making the movie? When it's like that joke's whatever. We're harping upon this, but there's an actual critique you could make of Hollywood just not making comedies anymore, which they don't emphasize it. And that's because Hollywood has shifted. All the movie studios are all cogs in much larger companies whose business model is, we need to make the biggest movies possible to sell to the most people around the world possible. And comedy doesn't travel. Comedy's region specific. We can't sell The Hangover 3, or we could probably sell The Hangover 3. We can't sell Road Trip to people in Italy or to people in, to people in Japan or whatever. And as a result, comedies have kind of the business model doesn't have room for that kind of comedies anymore. Mm-hmm. And he's just blaming it on wokeness, which I do not think is the right.
You're conflating. Two things are happening at the same time, and you're not using your big boy brain. You just want to blame somebody, and all you really are saying is it's harder. It's harder for people. You're upset that you're not going to make a blockbuster where you could use your kind of humor and humor in general to make one back then. Now you're like a guy that we know. We expect a certain quality. We expect a certain outcome. And what you're actually saying is you're scared to have something that isn't a splash. That's all you're saying. You're not a risk taker anymore. That's okay. You're old. Be old.
And if there is like, I would be on his side if he's like, they don't want to make irreverent comedies anymore, but I don't think that's true. Although because they're just not making comedies anymore at the rate that they used to.
But think about it. The ones that we could even say right now, right? Or like, what is it? No Hard Feelings. Babes, Bottoms, and there's one more I can't think of. I haven't seen yet, but they are totally irreverent. I mean, especially Bottoms. I mean, it's all just about teenage sex, and it's fucking hilarious. So those still exist.
There was like, No Hard Feelings. There was a micro controversy of like, is this a movie about grooming? There was that with Licorice Pizza also, but like, it's like, okay, maybe you will face some of those questions and get over it. It's fine.
It's at the end of the day, it still was there more positives than negatives, and if there were, then people are going to like it.
And people. No Hard Feelings is a very wonderful and sweet movie, and it is a movie about an inappropriate age relationship. Same with Licorice Pizza. Yeah. And we, the audience, can do a little critical thinking and say, you know what? If I'm 25, I shouldn't date a 15-year-old. I'm not going to take my life advice from the movies I watch. But he's not even saying that. He's putting it on woke culture, which I just don't think is the actual thing going on.
And he's acting like, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into this new fad called comic book movies. Like, okay, calm down. No, that's you showing your cards. You do just want to make sure you're going to make your money back, and it's not going to be embarrassing for you.
He's always been a little bit of an edgelord, so I'll make a dark, twisted, fucked up Joker movie.
But there already is an R.
This one's so much more fucked up. You saw Joker with Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh, that's the one we're talking about?
Yeah, that's his. Yeah.
I thought he was just doing the new one.
Yeah, he did the first one, and
yeah, that one. I mean, I liked it.
But it was like a band saying like we can't make the music we want anymore, so we're going pop, and it's like almost watch me show you how easy this is. Watch me show you how easy it is to do a comic book movie and make money off of it. That's the sense I get.
All right, well, you did it, buddy.
Yeah. So that's Road Trip, and that's Todd Phillips, and now we'll talk about the movie. So we open at the University of Ithaca, not a real place.
Oh.
Well, the college. I mean, Ithaca, New York. Ithaca, New York has two colleges. It has Ithaca College and Cornell University. Oh. This movie's pulling a fast one on us, saying this is the University of Ithaca.
I will say it. I think it's supposed to I'm already short-circuiting. It's supposed to tell us they're in a good college. There's nothing. That's the vibe. It's like, okay, you guys aren't like the super achieving people, but you're in a fine college.
Sure, you're in a fine college, and Josh's girlfriend Tiffany went to the University of Austin. Not a real thing. It's a stand-in for the University of Texas. This movie's again pulling a fast one on us, and the opening flyover of a college is Harvard. That's not the University of Ithaca at all. But yeah, we meet Tom Green giving
Well, now I'm not sure that I'm reading it right. I always read it as like kind of funny that they're Ithaca. Like, who gives a shit? But if they used Harvard, that does make me think we're supposed to. Because I was just gonna say it never really fit that his roommate is a genius. Like, well, then why are you there?
No, I mean, I think they're supposed to be like, I went to LSU. This seems like it's an LSU. Like, it's good. And also they party there.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we got stuck on literally the flyover this time.
So Tom Green is giving a tour to a bunch of prospective students. Ethan Suplee is one of the students. He doesn't get to do anything funny. But Tom Green's getting stuff wrong. Like, he's like, and that building right there was built in the 1600s. And a girl's like, no, it wasn't. It was built in 1951. He was like, shut up, bitch.
Tom.
And the students are getting annoyed. They're like, does anything interesting ever happen here? And he's like, one time it did, and I'll tell you the story.
Like, what kind of tours have these kids been on at schools? Tell us about all the dead people. Tell us about how much you bone. You're with your parents. I'm literally supposed to show you around campus.
Right. What are they actually
asking? This isn't
asking?
A haunted memories tour. This isn't a fucking vampire tour. What? I'm sorry. These are things that happen in New Orleans. Maybe that's not normal city stuff.
Hey, did you go on a tour of colleges? Did you go on a tour of UNO, University of New Orleans?
I did all of it on my own.
No, I know you did, but
I went to orientation. They just tell you about stuff from the cafeteria where, wherever the hall.
Yeah, me too. There
was no tour.
This is for perspective. Yeah.
This is for people who have options. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of want you to sell them. So maybe that is our hint that this is like a D school.
It is a D school.
Yeah. It's like a Tulane.
Or like an LSU, like I said.
No,
that's not a D school. No. Yeah, well, one time something cool did happen here, and I'll tell you all about it. So now we enter the actual narrative of the movie of Tom Green's friend Josh. And Josh is Breckin Meyer, and we get some Wonder Years opening credits footage of Josh and his best friend Tiffany from when they were kids. And they were, they started as friends, but they grew into so much more with lots of heavy petting. And even their dogs started dating. We see footage of their dogs fucking each other.
That's good TV right there.
But Josh went to the University of Ithaca while Tiffany went to the University of Austin. And long-distance relationships, they're not so easy, are they? We see Tiffany over in Austin. She's in the quad, and she's about to have sex with a guy by a tree, but it turns out it's just Josh's dream because he's a little paranoid. He hasn't heard from his girlfriend in a little while, and he's like, what's going on? Something's up with you.
If he could have only held on a little longer. Cell phones, my guy, those were coming. I'm sorry, cell phones, my friend. Those were coming to you.
I think even in 1999, they'd be using cell phones, or they'd be using AIM or
AIM.
Yeah, but I think this is clearly written by a person who's like 10 years older, and it's like, you dial your Miss Lady friend at her dorm room, and you miss her, and you get the roommate.
This movie might be the last time you can use this as a plot device. And we did lose a whole genre of movies once cell phones were a thing.
Yeah, now it'd be text messaging, and text bubbles would pop up on the screen. You know what you do? What I mean. You know what a movie should show? What? You know what a movie should show is when the text message shows on screen and you see someone typing, and then you see their response and you see the 3 dot bubbles. You should see that, and then it should go away.
Yeah, that's
a movie should do that.
Wow. Okay, is this a trope that is bothering you right now?
I've noticed it's a trope. Yes.
Okay. God.
It's always like, hey, isn't it so bad when you see somebody's typing and then they stop typing?
You know how many times I've typed the letter B and then noticed an hour later, and I'm like, I'll bet they think I have been thinking
something good's coming,
and then it's deleted, so then nothing at all, and it's like, what did they want to say to me?
What?
I wanted to say the letter B.
Type your texts in the notes app. That's what I say.
Oh, it's an extra step.
So yes, let's. I guess, can you tell us about the core gang of folks we have here, Lacey?
They've got it's unclear when they became friends. I think they are just friends from college. One of them's a roommate. We've got cool guy, average guy who's pretty cool, smart guy, weird burnout, strange guy, and nerd. Those are our 5 archetypes here. And then we've got Beth, who, huge campus, but can't help run into this guy she's got a crush on. Totally into our main character guy.
All right, I guess I shouldn't have asked because you don't know names of anybody.
Yeah, what are you trying to get me to do
so
here?
Josh is Breckin Meyer, and when I said I didn't like Breckin Meyer, Lacey was like, what? I mean, he strikes me as a little bit of an Andrew McCarthy type.
Just like saying you don't like vanilla. You need vanilla, then where else are you going to put all the chocolate and the sprinkles? Is where you need the vehicle. He's a vehicle.
Vanilla is more than a vehicle. Vanilla is a flavor. It's a good flavor of its own.
I think he's a good flavor.
I was a little hard on Breckin Meyer watching it a second time. I think he has some good jokes, but he is just kind of the delivery vessel of this movie. But he's a handsome guy, and yes, it makes sense that Amy Smart has a crush on him.
He can't be a charm bomb because then there's no like risk. Like, you needed to be a little bit unclear of like how wanted is he by the girlfriend that might be breaking up with him, cheating on him, or is madly in love with him. He needs to be able to be both. And then this other girl, she going to like throw her hands up and like, you're not worth it. If he's too good, then you're just thinking they would be fools. If this, for instance, were played by Ryan Reynolds, if this were Ryan Reynolds instead, I know there's a movie called Van Wilder. So if he were that charming, you'd be like, you don't care about the girls. There's no drama here. He'll get someone. He'll land on his feet. You need Breckin Meyer. He's an every guy.
Your argument is always like the movie needs this person to be boring and not a good actor.
That is a thing.
That's not true.
That doesn't make sense, Matt, because you've got it's a more balanced way of letting each character have the floor. I'm correct.
You are not.
Directors,
this is so wrong. This is no. That is an excuse. It's hey, the funny people wouldn't be as funny if you didn't have this non-funny person.
That's true.
But that's a different thing than what I'm saying.
Then why did you just say it?
Breckin Meyer is Josh. Amy Smart is Beth, and she likes him, and she's making the moves on him. But he's like,
Is there also an Elizabeth Smart?
Yeah, she's the one who got kidnapped.
Oh, well then she's the one I just found out is like a real angel. Like actual really nice. It turns out our friend Hot Dog, his sister, is in the movie industry. She does transportation for local movies, and he gave me a list of all the people that she said are really, really nice.
And Amy Smart is one of them. Hey, now you know Amy Smart is nice.
Nice. She's an angel.
I like to hear that.
You can tape her having sex.
I liked her.
She's got a nice butt.
I like her in this movie. I like her in The Butterfly Effect.
Let me double check.
Surely like her in other things.
The Butterfly Effect. That's where I know her.
All right, Seann William Scott is EL. What? Just a bad name to have in your movie.
It is odd
because it's initials ELE. You just want something a little something that pops a little, something a little more consonant-y. You know? How about Fred? So his best friend EL is like you got to give up on your girlfriend Tiffany, dude. You're in separate area codes anyway. It doesn't matter. Start having sex. You're in college. You only live once. Seann William Scott, this is 1 year after American Pie, which is his feature film debut. He's like probably the breakout of that movie.
It's Elizabeth Banks.
Okay, well.
Take it back.
Amy Smart.
Probably a total asshole.
I heard Amy Smart's a fucking Nazi. Just kidding. So American Pie 1999, and he's probably the breakout of the young cast, and then Final Destination like comes right after that, and it's weird to watch Final Destination because he's in it, but he's like the 10th most important character.
Who?
Seann William Scott.
He's in those movies?
He's in the first movie.
Doesn't seem like
he dies. He has an unceremonious death, and it's interesting because he's not playing
wasted.
He's playing a not a nerd, but he's just not playing cool guy.
I can
Seann William
picture him,
Scott.
and I think that's a waste of what he adds. Yeah.
But it's like that movie probably when it was produced before American Pie was released. It's like that kind of thing. Like, oh, we didn't realize yet what your deal is.
Sure, totally. Like before they knew exactly what to do with Will Ferrell.
And then this is third. Dude, Where's My Car is after this, Evolution, and then American Pie 2. What a run. Legendary run from Seann William Scott in the early 2000s.
It takes a hell of a run to really support three names. Like I can't. Maybe one day I'll remember all your names, but
especially with Sean, first name is 2 N's. Sean, Seann.
I'm really not going to commit it to memory.
Yeah, it's like Gregory, but it's not like you're Seanery.
Oh my God.
What are you doing with that extra N? Or Seanifer?
Just in case.
I assume a Sean Scott is also registered with SAG or something, and that's why it's Seann William Scott.
I did want to point out, did you have a point? You were talking about rules, area codes. Sorry, I was looking on my phone when you were saying these things. But I want to say that just like with like Scream started to lay out these, it was an interesting approach to have someone tell us the rules of something.
Yeah.
That I feel like other movies try to do this too. And I want to say there's rules in American Pie for long distance relationships, for what counts as cheating. And I remember thinking that this movie doesn't do it felt like he was trying to make something stick.
It's trying to develop a runner, and they bring it back a couple times. Like, this isn't landing.
It's not landing. It's not funny. And it's very of its time to be celebrating, like, how do we cheat on babes?
Yeah, what are the loopholes? Does it count as cheating if you're doing this?
I just don't have a committed relationship.
So you think that Hollywood took note and they're like, Scream made a lot of money because it has rules.
I just think people think that they're going to have like a clever little, you don't know what's going to catch on. It was a dud. It's not interesting. And I don't know when Ludacris's Hoes and Different Era Codes came out, but I can't, chicken or the egg. We'll never know which came first.
There's no way to know.
There's no way to know.
It's just one of those things. Yeah. So Beth, she's very into Josh. She's being stalked by Jacob Anthony Rapp, and he's like the TA in Josh's philosophy class. We find out Josh
tits and ass.
Here's the stakes of this movie. Josh needs a B+ in his philosophy class, or else he'll lose his financial aid. He better do a good on his exam. This
is another weakness of this movie. It feels like it's trying to have these types of people, and it's like close. Like I don't even find the stalker nerd all that menacing or all that interesting or all that like devishly fun to watch be bad. And then you've got even the professor. I feel like they're trying to do a type here with the professor. This sort of wise black man who's kind of aloof as well. It's like it's all just like
it seems like it's
a little deflated.
It's half baked. This Josh, the Anthony Rapp character, he has a T-shirt that says like "I love God" or "God is awesome," and he's like a tyrant. He uses his TA powers to be tyrannical and get revenge over all those who have wronged him.
Goes nowhere.
But there is like a weird dilemma. Well, we'll talk to it when we get to the sex scene. But then this lady auction happens at the fraternity house.
Again, huge campus, lots of activities. But we can't stop these two from running into each other. I always think it's a little too convenient. Everybody ends up at the same party. And this is an annual party, apparently, because they often have a lady auction. I don't understand who the money goes to. Is this for charity?
It's just for them.
But like, it's such a known thing that there's even rules for it, which is that, look, and I think this is nice for the time. You get to access their company with this money, but you do not, that doesn't mean you get to have sex. Haha, I sure tried. That didn't work. Beth realizes that the stalker guy is going to bid on her, and she'll have to spend 10 minutes, Beth? Really? Are you going to like follow rules? He's going to file a complaint. So she runs and she finds her love interest and is like, just bet on me. Just figure it out. Just beat his money. I know you don't have any, but do it. She could have offered him like a check or something. And then she's auctioned off. And what is his fucking name, Seann? Paul?
Josh
is helped out by his friend EL, by him pretending he can't hear the higher bid from the scary guy. And Beth goes to Josh.
Yeah,
now their romance can begin.
Yes, because she's like, thanks for bidding for me. And he's like, don't I get a reward? She's like, would you like your reward now?
How many times do you want it? Let's pound. I mean, they really spend no time socializing.
Well, they're dancing very intimately, but this is a like,
Beth knew what she wanted.
Yes, I know. This is this thing between us. Let's just do it, man. You know and I know. Let's get to it. She
doesn't even know him enough to know who his long-term girlfriend is, if he's attached or not. Like, she just has a crush on this guy she sees around.
She sees him around. They talk.
All right, I like how sex forward she is. You know,
I agree, and I like that. This movie suggests like this starts with them just hooking up and having sex, but like a nice relationship can blossom out of this. You know,
it had to.
Why did it?
Otherwise, she'd be a whore.
I guess.
That's not my rules.
They go up to Josh's room, and I actually think it's clear, like, okay, let's go up to the room. We're going to have sex. The movie has a kind of nice little like 30 seconds where it's got the awkward moment where like, we're about to have sex, but kind of we're delaying it or we're like making small talk.
Yeah.
And she like plays the game with the camera. He has the camera because he makes videos for his long distance girlfriend. And we said the thing like where he can't get in touch with his girlfriend, and he assumes like, is she pulling away from me? What's happening? Because the movie's trying to do a thing where we don't think he's a total scumbag for cheating on his girlfriend. It's a Ross from Friends situation.
Well, wait, doesn't the moment where he calls and the roommate answers and she's real shitty about him having called, doesn't that happen? She kind of implies, look, she's not returning your call. Get the hint.
Yeah.
Does that happen before?
That does happen before.
Then that's why. So we also think he's being blown off.
We do, but it's like, it's a weird, like, if you were in a long-term relationship, like I had a thing like that happen with me when I was casually dating a girl, who like 4 weeks, and this happened with Hurricane Katrina in the middle of it, I couldn't get in touch with. And then I finally got in touch. She's like, hey, can I call you right back? And I was like, yeah, sure thing. I'm at my grandfather's house. Here's the phone number. And then I sat by the phone and waited for her to call, and she didn't. I didn't talk to her again until school started again. And still I was like, hey, we're still dating, right? And she's like, but that's when that can happen. Not with it'd be like if you and me suddenly stopped talking to each other on the phone.
Right. You're not dead. Your grandpa's fine.
So anyway, he has sex with Amy Smart, and it's a nice little scene. But yeah, the movie is trying to walk the line of like, this guy, no, he's not a piece of shit. He doesn't mean to be cheating. And
I never think he's a piece of shit.
Yes, but I think like it's a failing of the movie that it doesn't nail down exactly who he is. Like he should be a piece of shit. You said Ryan Reynolds, and like, yeah, if this was Ryan Reynolds, he might have a little edge to him. We might think you're kind of a bad guy. And
I'm sure this is just because of the time it was made, but it's like once he agrees and really quickly to show the sex tape, and this is when our kid was like, okay, fuck him.
Yeah.
Because that very clearly is something much more a part of lives of kids now. And, one generation ago, even, we didn't have to really deal with this stuff. We didn't have our digital cameras waiting for us. So I think it makes sense for that generation Z. What the fuck is wrong with my mouth?
Alpha?
No, yeah, I don't know. Gen
Young
Z, even
people today.
Gen Z, just younger than us, for them to get more offended at this. So it's a weird area where I'm like, I think at the time we were supposed to be like, guys are guys.
I think so.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't said it, like they filmed themselves having sex on their first time having sex. Very bizarre.
You don't even know where everything's located. His dick could be low, butt crack high, kissing the roof of your mouth instead of in your mouth, like the right way.
Like, that's my butt crack, Beth. My face is up here.
You get it.
I thought, like, I remembered it being like she doesn't realize it's recording. It's just hooked up to the TV. So it's like, like when you're at Circuit City when you're a kid and you see the wall of TVs and you can see yourself.
No, Beth is
But
wild.
she hits the record button.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the next morning he wakes up and he's all giddy and he's like, oh, I'm giddy because I had sex. And his roommates are like, what's up with you? And he's like, I had sex. And they're like, no, you didn't.
They had sex twice and then once in the morning, but he shares a room so intimately with these guys that they're just in there when he's done showering.
I don't know
At
what
one
this
point,
I don't know what this living situation is. I don't know.
maybe he had a sock on the door.
That had to be the case. He comes in, he's giddy. You didn't have sex, prove it. And he's like, and he gives them a sheepish look and then looks at his camera.
So sure he didn't have sex. Like he's an attractive guy who went home with an attractive girl who's
ugly,
into him.
Disgusting lame-o like you.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about? He's got a pet snake.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's how we
his
know the living.
roommates.
See? So he's got a roommate.
Well, he like looks over at his camera and Seann William Scott's like, no, you didn't. But then Breckin Meyer does the good guy thing of like, no, you can't actually watch it. No. But they force him, but he's like not pushing back enough. So that's the thing with this character. They want you to not think he's a piece of shit, but still make piece of shit things happen because of what he does.
And his shit later with Kyle, he forces bad things to happen. There's no reason why everything had to turn out okay with Kyle's character. With Kyle the character, but he's just as big of a user and a bully as the other two.
So that's what I'm saying with Breckin Meyer is I wish they acknowledge that this character has an edge and has some menace and is not a good guy. I haven't seen The Hangover in like 10 years, but I remember Bradley Cooper being a shitty person in those movies.
It was defined.
And because it was Bradley Cooper, you're like, oh, but I still like this guy.
Yeah, no. Honestly, the entire friend group is like that. All three of the cool guys are just kind of shitty, kind of using each other, and there's not like this bond or this closeness or like softness to it. They have a couple of moments, but this is not a friend group that you're like, you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, it's a college friend group, which I wouldn't know because I didn't have friends in college.
I didn't go to college.
I had a girlfriend.
I barely touched college, so yeah.
I don't even
remember their names.
Did you make friends the time you were there?
That was the problem. It was nothing but partying. I was like, I'm only ever hungover. I need to get out of here because I lived on campus and you just can't escape. It was every night. And it was fun, but it was not productive.
The parties were in on-campus houses?
Like in Privateer Place. They're apartments. You basically live in these like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1-bedroom apartments. And they were just floated from each apartment.
I went to one party my freshman year and one party my senior year.
I've never been to a party. These were just like whoever came over that day and then let's get trashed.
Oh, okay.
But it'd be like 20 people. But I'd never, like the parties you see on college movies, I've never attended such a
the
thing.
two parties I went to were not like this. They were like 15 people or 15 to 25 people.
You didn't
but
go to a party.
it wasn't like, it felt like a party.
You went to a get together.
A soiree.
No, you did not.
So, okay, they're watching. He's like, no,
Such a nerd.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys, you totally can't watch my sex tape. No, don't. And he presses play, and the tape is not. It's not a sex tape. It's Tom Green doing weird stuff. And they're like, wait a minute. Oh no, did we accidentally send my sex tape to my girlfriend?
Let's use all of our resources.
And as he's freaking out, as Josh is freaking out on the floor, the one funny thing I like from Tom Green in the movie, or the one time I laugh out loud at Tom Green, is he's like, did you make a copy of the tape? Because if you made a copy, we could just watch that.
Oh, Tom.
As all of this is happening, they get a phone call in the dorm room and it goes to voicemail, and it's Tiffany. She's like, hey babe, the reason I haven't been in touch recently is my grandfather died and I've been supporting my mother. That's why.
Hospitals don't have phones. My mom's house doesn't have a phone. My grandfather didn't have a phone. So
She's caught up in the emotion and the swirl of it all. But the point is, now he realizes, oh shit, she's not dumping me at all. I did cheat on my girlfriend. I am a piece of shit. So we got to take a road trip to intercept that tape. So they need Kyle, DJ Qualls, who has a car. And
DJ Qualls.
I mean, his personality is what?
I thought it was going to read as on the spectrum, and I was prepared to be offended, but it's not that. This guy, he does not seem to be if I had to guess, I would not guess hard-ass military dad is your father. I wouldn't think he'd be okay with you presenting as nerdy as you do. So sheltered, homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like nice, trusting, nervous. He just has a car.
He has a car. He lets them push him around. They present it as like, we're helping you. You need to take more risks. You need to be more assertive. And the way you can take a risk is by giving us what we need. And
like, how do they know him at all?
Your car. I don't know. You just know people at college. Again, I didn't, but I assume that you do when you're in college, is you have a Kyle. So they drive his car, and they drive and drive and drive, rarely on an interstate because that's not cinematic. It's also hard to shut down an interstate to film. So it's always on these back roads. They have their conversation about, here are the loopholes to cheating. If you're having sex with two girls at once, it doesn't count because they cancel each other out. And then I
kind of agree with that.
You kind of agree with that.
I'm kidding. We've been married for how long?
That sounds like something you might think, though.
Okay.
And then DJ Qualls is like, it's not cheating if you put peanut butter on your dick and have your dog lick it off. And they're like, ooh, gross. And he's like, because it's your dog.
Right.
That's what makes it funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember saying that. That'd probably be the thing I quote the most from this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's this movie's legacy, I think. I really do, yeah. Mm. And he repeats it, because it's your dog. Yeah, so Beth... Amy Smart comes by Josh's dorm room and she's like, hey, I just want to say thanks for the sex. But Tom Green is there and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm looking for Josh. And he says he's in Austin, Massachusetts, because he's a dumbass and can't remember place names. Places. And she's like, you mean Boston, Massachusetts? And he's like, yeah, he went to see his girlfriend. She's like, girlfriend, no. So she goes and talks to her lady friends who are just standing around in a room naked. I
gotta say,
yes,
their advice to just go show up. This is when Beth becomes unhinged to me. I mean, it's a very odd thing to do. How about you just wait for him to get back and then you're like, guess that one night stand was a mistake. Not let me go to your girlfriend of dozens of years, not dozens, 10 years and go tell her what you did before you can tell her. That's a fucked up move.
It's something. I mean, yeah, it's the... We want to give her something to do. We want funny stuff to happen. But yes, it is a ridiculous reaction.
Beth is a person of extremes. I mean, really, when we really break it down, we do not see a person making decisions that make sense. Tape the first time you've had sex before you even know him. Get one tiny bit of proof that he does not have a girlfriend, which is when you're already in the room to have the sex, and then show up to a college miles away.
You're right, but Amy Smart isn't playing her that way. She's playing her as like a very reasonable person, but the things she does are not reasonable.
They're not. And everyone around her plays it as reasonable too. Lady on the bus, the friends giving the advice, the way that the other guys talk about her. She's an angel. You'd be crazy not to be with her. What are you doing? It's like,
yeah, there's the scene where all the women are standing around naked talking to her and giving her advice like, man, they're such pigs. You know what you should do is go to Boston. And then it cuts away to Tom Green giving the tour, and the people who are listening to the tour are like, women don't just stand around naked. And he's like, yes, they do. They're all in my story and they're all just standing around naked. So we go back and we see all the naked women. There is an unrated cut of this movie whose only difference between it and the theatrical is there's 10 extra seconds where the woman who's talking to Amy Smart is like, oh man, they're such pigs. Can you imagine what the world would be like if they had their way? And as she's saying this, the camera is zooming in on her boobs. That's the difference. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's the movie acknowledging like, oh, this movie's for the fellas.
Yep.
And But you know, it's nudity in movies is great, so this is okay. And
Yay.
the joke is there's no even pretense about why. Like, it's not like they're
It's
in a
not
locker room. This isn't after a game. They're literally just standing around being naked together, which Lacey led me to believe was actually a thing, but this movie is saying is not a thing. So I don't know what to believe.
There's a difference between being naked in front of each other and standing around to be naked in front of each other.
Okay, so it's
I definitely grew up in a family that changes clothes in front of each other or goes into the dressing room together, boobs, butt, all the stuff. But there's always a reason, Matt. We don't just go, okay, well, we're at Sheila's. Let's,
no.
How's everyone's boobs today? No, Matt, no.
Don't lecture me.
No, Matt.
Say my name.
Drop it. Say my name.
They're out on the road, and they're on a back road supposedly to save a lot of time. And save 5 hours on. Am I boring you?
This is my yawning time.
They're supposedly going to save 5 hours on this road, but they get to a rickety bridge that is out, and they decide very hastily they're just going to jump it because Paulo Costanzo, what's his character's name? Rubin is like, I know physics and I'm super smart about everything, and I know that if you drive at this rate of the velocity of the terminal velocity is going to get us there within. So they do it. I like how casually they're all being about it, except for Kyle. He's like, no, my dad will kill me. But they do it. They successfully do it. They land, and then the car breaks.
I always think about, like, if we're even accounting for our weight, like if even our weight matters in this equation, what if just everyone except for the driver goes across just go across the shallow creek and not be a factor?
Yeah, and then, the three of us can not risk being killed.
That's why, because no one would want to drive the car.
Oh, okay.
And you don't get you don't get that one.
They have to walk to a nearby town, which is run by which has a shady motel, by a shady motel clerk. Yes, Lacey.
They make it across the bridge, but
the car breaks.
Tires.
I said that.
I was in a different place mentally.
And then it explodes. Yeah, so they go to a motel run by Andy Dick. Andy Dick is also in Old School, where he plays a gay guy who teaches the wives of the movie how to give a blowjob.
Oh, yeah.
We check in with... What?
Just like when we say stuff that we're going to cut out, and then we come back casually as if no time had passed.
Yeah, so we're talking about road trip, and the Beth, Amy Smart, is on the bus. She's heading to Boston. We also check in with Kyle's dad for the first time, played by Fred Ward. He's a very stern and scary man, and he learns his credit card has been maxed out and is being used all up and down the East Coast. So they need a new form of transportation. What are they going to do? Well, EL, Seann William Scott, he goes to a school for the blind and meets a blind woman played by Mary Lynn Rice Cub, and he cons her into giving him a bus. I guess here's one thing I like, and I do like this movie, and one of the things I like about it is just how many just like comedy people would just play one scene roles, like Mary Lynn Rice Cub here,
the waiter here.
Horatio Sands at the diner plays the waiter who puts
so disgusting
DJ Qualls' French toast in his asshole.
I'm all in until the hair. Just when I can see the hair on the butt, I'm like, no, there's gonna be hair on it.
Well, it's you are freaked out by hair on food. And you will yell at everyone in the room if there's a danger of,
if they waft something, if they quaff or waft anything like a blanket near my food. Because if it happens, if it enters my mouth, I will be throwing away the entire thing that I'm eating.
People, if you are ever eating with Lacey, if you have the privilege, and it is a privilege, of eating with Lacey, and this happens, and she starts yelling, you might think at first she's kidding. She's never more serious than when she's yelling about hair getting in her food.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm not even religious. This is really upsetting me. I had to do the sign of the Satan.
So, but what's funny about the French toast is, here's what's funny about it.
It's still good.
Is that DJ Qualls eats it and just smiles and like, this is good. And then that's it. That's the end of the joke.
I appreciate the movie for that. Yes. I don't need the cum-filled freaking Danish.
The instinct is good for him not to be like,
exactly.
This tastes like butthole.
Right. It's just because it's your dog. Like he understands how to deliver this.
Back at college, Barry is trying to get the snake to eat the mouse, but he can't. We had the same problem with the snake that we briefly owned.
It's flashbacks. But he's already kind of a wraparound story, or he's an interstitial story. He's the parts I do not fucking care about, and then you also give him other parts to do that I don't care about.
Yeah, he's already a Greek chorus in a way, but
Exactly.
but he's affecting the plot because he's sending Amy Smart on her missions.
A note on the door could have done the same, like a weird A that looks like a Boston instead of an Austin. You know how the rest of the words spelled the same. Shut up, Matt. Go on.
She gets to the University of Boston. She finds out, I'm here for Tiffany Henderson. They're like, yeah, right this way, ma'am. Tiffany Henderson's in this sorority house. And she goes, Tiffany Henderson, you have a boyfriend, right? And she's like, yes, he's cheating on you. And then we cut to her smashing her boyfriend's car. And Amy Smart's like, oh my, this is extreme. And then her boyfriend shows up and she's like, wait a minute, that's your boyfriend? But then she doesn't intervene and she doesn't say like, hey, sorry, this is a misunderstanding. You're not the person I thought you were.
So then that's when you know she's a bad fuck. I mean, I know it's just they don't want to cause yet another scene. We don't need to now put Beth in danger or whatever. But it does. She's shitty for doing that. I
would leave too.
And you're shitty.
And then she's on the bus and she's asleep and this guy played by Todd Phillips is about to suck on her toes. And then she wakes up.
That's Todd Phillips?
Yeah. So you know that he wrote that in for himself. He's like, I want to play the toe sucker.
Fucking nasty. He has always disturbed me. There's many disturbing people in this movie. He's the one that actually makes me feel like he means it. I love that that's him.
Mm-hmm. That's him.
And he actually does make contact.
And he directed The Joker, the Crown Prince of Crime. Oh. There's nothing more fucked up than The Joker, except maybe Todd Phillips. And she's
giving
like,
himself that hair.
Are there any normal guys in the world? They arrive at an all-black fraternity in Tennessee.
Indeed, they do, Matt. And you can tell right away that there's something up with Rubin trying to get away with doing the handshake. There's just a knowing look in the guy's face who answers the door, and they do the handshake and they convince him that he's a brother. Convince him, and then they walk into the mess hall. Where are they?
This is a giant compound.
They live at a nunnery or fucking Hogwarts. I don't know. And they go in there if everyone's dining and record scratch. Everyone's black. Oh, now they know. They know you're not black, Rubin. And this is all. But don't worry. This is not the first time this has happened. They've got a perfectly hilarious prank they're going to play on you guys. So everyone sit down and eat. Let your guard down. And we're going to find a Klan mask, a Klan hood in one of your bags, on your bags. And it is our friend DJ's, and he faints. But don't worry, he wakes up. And it was a cool joke.
Well, can I say this? I don't like pranks. But I think this one's a funny prank.
Fucking good. Yeah. I mean, and I like that they have a set one for this occasion.
Yes, that's why. And just the idea, why would you be walking around with a Klan hood in your
Why would anyone?
In your duffel bag.
Right. And I thought all your bags exploded.
Yeah.
And
he's like, that's not Mom.
Don't worry though, to cheer him up, there's a beer party. And I like that he is not good at there's guys doing a step dance and to rock around the clock. Or it's tricky.
Rock around. 1, 2, 3, clock, rock.
Traditional. So I like that he gets up there and he does the whitest thing possible after jumping around and trying to kind of like, I don't like that he interrupts the dance. I mean, they obviously practiced for this reason. They're kind of fucking up the song, but they're gracious. They back up and let you do yours, and you do a river dance. And I think that is fun that he busts out the most white thing. But that's when his future girlfriend sees him and thinks that is the most adorable shit I've ever seen in my life. And
they have a little conversation on a swing
about how it's okay to be a virgin and that she thinks it's cute. And that they could have just been a nice fucking scene, but they have to like, look, oh, she's big, she's making the swing go down.
Because she doesn't read as fat.
She doesn't.
So you have to do stuff like that because that's the only joke. Otherwise, this is just sweet.
Well, what?
And like a nice thing that happens for him and for her. Because they go and they have sex. And as I said earlier, it's hot. When I was 14 years old, I was like, this is what's going to happen to me one day. And, next day, he's a new man. He's walking with a spring in his step. And then they're on the bus. And they're like, come on, Kyle, tell us. And he's like, I fucked her.
No, I boinked her. Which
he does say, I boinked her. And look, she gave me her underwear.
Did you skin a cheetah? And then he smells them and they all go, Like, okay.
But I think we said this already. Then he just smiles and he's not embarrassed and he likes it. And he's just, now he has this nice memory.
It's just a terrible juxtaposition that just one scene earlier, Elizabeth Smart's getting her toe sucked. And that's not
Amy Smart.
That's exactly what I said. Is getting her foot licked because she's so hot. And this woman can't have her underwear sniffed. It's just, fuck you, movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like you can't do fat humor.
It's just you're punching down in more than one way.
This is like truly the only joke here is she's fat.
And she's black. I think that's part of
too,
it.
Yes.
You know, I mean, like they crash their party. They make a funny joke, but they totally are accepting. And these are the only black people in the entire movie. And then she's made a joke, and she's made a joke all the way to the end. Because I think it's nice that they end up boyfriend and girlfriend, but she grabs the dad. Hi, Dad. And she's wearing braces, and that's silly. And I don't know. They just, it is amazing how that none of us saw it this way. That's so few years ago, and it's so normal, and just what it must have been like.
I don't know that nobody saw it that way.
No, I mean, black people did, but it wasn't talked about. You know, it wasn't. Just it's nice to see how far we've come, but it also sucks to watch.
They realize they're running out of money. They need money, so they're going to go to a sperm bank.
And we need something sexual to do because it's been 10 minutes. So
that's the kind of comedy this is.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it. And so one by one, they're ruled out because of their sexual activity or their drug usage. So it's just up to Seann William Booth and fucking Breckin Meyer. All right. To splooge in a cup because I guess they get tons of money for this. Have you ever tried this?
Have I tried a sperm bank?
But didn't Patrick?
No, Lacey, here's what you're thinking of.
What?
I wrote a novel called Generation Y,
yes,
available now on Amazon from 2012.
That is what I'm thinking
And
of.
the character who is based on Patrick, his name is Ivan. Patrick had some dirtbag days. It was the kind of thing he might have tried. But so I did a ton of research on sperm banks to see how they worked. And I learned a lot. And it was like,
is it like $70?
My entire knowledge of sperm banks came from this movie. And so it was like, you really immediately realize like, okay, it doesn't work like this. It's not like you go and you jack off and they give you money. It's like you have to return like every 2 days for months before they pay you.
What?
And it's like you can't ejaculate any other time. That's so you can't have sex. So it's like you have to be celibate during this time. It's you have to be regimented and on a schedule. You have to be on a specific diet.
Fucking parole.
Yeah, it's like it's not exactly easy money.
Well, and what is the money though?
I'm sure it was
a couple hundred.
You'd get like a couple $100s, yes.
Fuck.
But they go in and Seann William Scott to the hot nurse is like, excuse me, ma'am, you think you could give me some assistance?
They're like, is there something between us? Like, okay, only a hot guy can do this. This is crazy. She works at a sperm bank.
She's going to have her revenge though, because she goes into the room with him and she's like,
is it revenge?
And he thinks she's about to give him a hand job. Instead, she sticks some fingers up his ass and massages his prostate.
Gives him the best orgasm of his life.
And he goes, oh!
Stop, keep going.
And then she leaves and he's like, that was awesome.
He's awakened.
So, and it's kind of hot. So after
Works
that,
for me.
After that, they're rocking out to I Wanna Rock by Twisted Sister. Truly
Still my favorite scene.
Why?
They're gelling. They're all having a good time. It's a nerdy song for them to all know, and they all know it.
Yeah.
And I think it's cute. It's like finding out all your friends like Kiss. It wasn't cool to like Kiss no matter when you like them. Or it's a type of person.
In fact, I'd say there's no kind of person who would know Twisted Sister in 2000.
Exactly. So the fact that they all knew it was all a song from their childhood probably, and they all know every fucking word. It's just like, okay,
even when I watched this movie as a 13-year-old, I was like, this is the most famous song this movie could afford, which is not.
Wait,
so Twisted
but they do
not even We're Not Gonna Take It. It's I Wanna Rock. But yeah, it's fun.
You don't think it costs money I guess because of how many movies the Tricky song is in, it probably isn't that expensive of a song.
No, I'm sure they paid for that one, and their music budget is only this much. So how much are we going to allocate for the song that they rock out to? Can we afford Detroit Rock City? No. Can we afford?
It's effective.
I don't know. Surrender by Cheap Trick? No.
Okay.
But I can't imagine this movie with any other song but I Want to Rock.
God, yes.
Turn it down, you say. Well, nobody knows those words, but all I got to say to me is when no.
Exactly.
But they all know every word.
And they all knew when to take what verse.
Yeah.
Like they'd done it more than once.
That's a plot hole.
Oh.
Drive that bus through that plot hole. They're going to stop at Barry's grandparents' house, naturally. And they find out Barry's last name is Manilow. That's silly.
Do we need that joke?
And the funny thing about this grandfather is he's watching like...
Give it to me, baby.
Is that what he's watching?
No, it's shoot. And there's two...
He's watching like the Hooters channel or
No,
something.
he's watching MTV, but it's also what the guy at the motel is watching as well. So, yeah.
Oh, the connective tissue. This is a rich world. It's like, we're so divided, but there's these things that link us.
Well, it's also a real song, so they would have had to pay for that footage of that song, and so why not use it both places?
Oh, that's a good point, but I like this is a rich tapestry. We're all connected. We're one organism. The tentacles, we're like a big jellyfish. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, as he's watching this, then he stands up and he has this giant boner and he knocks over
and that's the other quote. That's the other quote that I still say. What do you want me to do? Cut it off?
Yeah.
That's the other
That's
quote.
kind of funny. Now I remembered Anchorman being the first movie where I ever saw a boner just on screen. But no, this was 4 years earlier. Huh.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And an impressive boner. Not bad.
Truly.
You knocked over an angel with that one, and Beth is an angel.
So after all this, they finally arrive in Austin. Austin, Texas. What a town. We've been there. What do you remember about Austin?
That we were pushing your book, which is weird because we just talked about your book.
Yeah, our mission was to go all over. It was just an excuse to go to Austin.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to go and we had fun.
It was cool.
We went to some bars and then we stopped at Barnes and Nobles.
I got a t-shirt thrown at me.
In between New Orleans and Austin, we stopped at Barnes and Nobles that we saw and dropped off bookmarks.
Why would a Barnes and Noble need bookmarks? I thought we just did it at colleges.
No, we did it at we did it at bookstores. We go into like,
why didn't we go to libraries where college kids
we were dumb.
are?
We I think we did try some stuff like that. We went to the University of Texas campus and went into their bookstore.
I know.
Okay.
I was there. I remember. That's the only reason why I know that there's a Texas school.
There's a school in Texas. Yes.
They fit one in.
And we dropped off these bookmarks. I'm like, do you want some bookmarks? And most people, people were generally receptive, like, yeah, okay. And I'm sure they threw them away. But I still have about 4,000 of those bookmarks. And okay, so they get to Austin and they go to the school and they go to the mail clerk and they're like, we need Tiffany's mail. And he's like, you can't have it, motherfucker. And then they get into a physical brawl. And then Kyle's dad shows up and he's like, what's going on here? And he pulls out a gun for some reason. And then the cops show up and this is just like a big brouhaha. But what happens? How does it all resolve?
I don't fucking know. Somehow he sneaks away with Tiffany because she walks in.
And she's like, Josh, what are you doing?
And then the gun gets pulled on her, which is hilarious.
It is. So they go up to her dorm room and they start having a conversation. And she's saying things that suggest like she's actually about to break up with you. She's like, we're in college. We are in this long distance relationship. Our time where she echoes what Seann William Scott said earlier. Like your time to be in college and experiment and meaning have a lot of sex is running rapidly out.
And then she talks about how she's practically only been with him. And he's like, what do you mean practically? She's like, we're 14. And I was like, whatever camp. And she's like, different area codes. So she's got a lot in common with that EL guy.
She really does. Again, one organism, one tentacle, one jellyfish. I had a girlfriend all throughout college, 4 years of college. And so I was a Josh. And like, yeah, she's right. It's not a good idea to be in a long-term relationship. And I mean, obviously there's all kinds of different people and all kinds of different things work out for different people. But that to both me and the person who was my girlfriend, it was like a socially constraining thing because we were both like sort of introverted people who were like, I don't need to go meet people. I can just talk to my girlfriend / my boyfriend.
Which is exactly why you guys had the relationship to begin with, is so that you didn't have to actually feel like a loser or go out there and explore, and actually you were scared to be away from home, and this is how you coped with it. And that's why she immediately broke up with you as soon as you were out of that fucking school.
That's a story for another day.
Is it?
And people would always be like, oh, you're going to make friends in college. And I was like, one day it's going to happen.
It's coming. Where's the friendship
Any
banquet?
day now.
If we were to get sorted by a hat, then
But especially long distance things. I mean, what's the they have that term for like if you go off to college and you still are with your high school relationship. It's called like a Thanksgiving relationship. It's like you're going to stay together until Thanksgiving of the next year when you both come home or something. And
kind of been cheating a little bit.
Something, and then you come home and you see each other for the first time since the summer and you realize like, all right, we don't need to be doing this anymore. Anyway, what I'm saying is don't be in a relationship, but all the people who listen to this are young little TikTokers and according to Fox News, they're not even interested in sex. So
that doesn't mean they're not interested in relationships, Matt. Those are
the same things, I think.
They are not.
Every generation is worried that the next generation is either having too much sex or not enough. And it seems like we're in a cycle where people are worried that the next generation is not having enough sex.
I didn't know that was also.
Oh, sure.
I knew the too much, of course. But like, when was the last time not enough? After the war?
I think, I don't remember the exact time.
So the great generation
it was probably between the wars.
So that'd be the great generation was worried the boomers weren't going to have enough sex. And then they boomed.
Yeah. And it's tied into birth rate stuff, but also like people are like, we had fun, we knew what to do, we knew how to have fun, and you kids are such prudes. It's just a thing that's always happening, and that's why my general attitude has always been like, people are always kind of just the same. They're always exactly as horny and exactly as reckless as their parents. Anyway, Josh and Tiffany decide to break up but remain best friends, totally unearned. And then what happens?
Well, then we need another issue because Beth, and another fucking freak ass idea, you just ruined a relationship of a Tiffany Henderson that you didn't mean to ruin a relationship of. So you make the move of calling Josh at Tiffany's fucking room while you don't know what they're doing, but you call him there. You could potentially be fucking up that too. Whatever, Beth. But it's because she's an angel, and she needs to let him know that stalker weirdo guy pretended that he has time to get to his midterm, but he only has 3 days. Like, I thought you had 3 days when you started this. How many fucking days have you been gone? Or 42 hours, whatever. So maybe it's 2 days. So now he's got to get in that bus and get back to Ithaca faster than he got to Austin. And don't worry, you're packing a genius with you. So Rubin is going to teach you about Socrates. All he has to do is find a way to relate it to something you already know, idiot, like Vince McMahon.
And he says,
and it works.
And he's like, Socrates is like Vince McMahon. He started it all. And I can think of every wrestling fan in the world watching this being like, what the fuck did he just say?
He stole it all. He's monopolized a piece of shit.
Vince McMahon started it all.
Oh my God. Okay. And then
there's a 6-hour Netflix documentary that came out today about Vince McMahon that I'm kind of excited to watch because
I'm going to watch that.
He is
I'm going to watch that.
I mean, he's already in deep, deep trouble, maybe going to go to prison forever, but
Tell me it's tax evasion.
Oh, you don't know?
I don't know.
Oh no, horrendous sexual assault, a lawsuit against him, like with tons of details and text messages about like sex trafficking of these women that he would employ, and this specific woman who he did unspeakably bad things. Look it up if you don't know.
When did all this start to trickle out? Oh, I guess don't tell me trickle, tell me bombshell.
It did kind of trickle until the lawsuit, which I believe was at the beginning of this year.
Oh.
And it was at that point he then resigned and resigned from the company.
And maybe I kind of knew, because I mean, when was I reading that book?
That was about it. That was at the beginning of 2023, and we learned about the lawsuit, but didn't learn the details for another like that. We learned about the lawsuit, and that's when he stepped away for the first time. But then the text of the lawsuit came out a year later, and that's when it went into full. You're like Harvey Weinstein level villain.
Wow. Okay.
And this documentary series started with his participation and started before all this stuff came out. And then it looks like the documentarians totally pivoted.
And now he's
disowned it. I don't know if it's going to be any good. People by now hearing this have probably seen it if they're interested and can say whether or not it's good, does service to his victims, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm kind of interested in watching it.
What's it called?
Mr. McMahon, I think.
Okay. And okay, so now Josh gets to campus and he's just in time to witness the next crazy fucking thing Beth has done. But this one obviously read as cool whenever I watched the movie. Like, oh yeah, I want to be the kind of girl that calls in a bomb threat. She calls in a bomb threat, gives him just enough time to get there to do his midterm. And this obviously was before 9/11, so you could still put this in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
post Columbine though, like it's a little weird. But that's just kind of the fucked up guy that Todd Phillips is, you know?
Beth is unhinged.
She is, you're right. You're right. It is so weird the way Amy Smart plays her as like a very normal and reasonable person. Like, you like
it's not just her. It's like everyone around her.
You like what I did? Like she should be like Harley Quinn, but she's
right. That's the move she's making. But everyone around her is like their pants are charmed off. Men, women, children. She can do no wrong. And I think she's shaped weird.
You are so mean.
She's beautiful, though.
You are so mean to women.
She's super beautiful, though. She's got a weird torso. It doesn't quit.
What does that mean?
Very long torso.
You were so angry at the girl from Friday the 13th Part 2 for not having a butt. You're like, I felt so bad for her till I saw her butt, and then I realized like, Jason can kill her.
Get fucked.
Fucked.
Put your poop underwear on and go to hell.
So yeah. He's just like, wait a minute, I'm going to miss my exam. Wait, a bomb robot? And he's like, philosophy? Anyway, then he takes his exam and he passes. And then we find out everything works out. Rubin invents a great strain of weed. EL starts dating a woman who can give him a prostate massage properly.
I like movies that do that. I know it's a trope, but I love when movies tell you the where are they now stuff. And especially when it's like way in the future, like Sandlot.
I think it's an homage to Animal House because of the Ivan Reitman thing. Maybe not. I don't know.
It's a lot of coming of age movies do it.
Yeah, and Kyle, he's dating Heather, I believe is her name.
I don't remember
the black woman who has braces, and
she doesn't have braces when they meet each other.
So what's the point of that?
I don't know.
What is the joke there?
It's again to make her look silly.
It is.
Yes, it's to undermine her and her because she's gorgeous from here up, and they're at the door. They don't have time to make a fat joke. They have to do something to her. Braces. And make her grab the dad like she's about to fuck his head.
Well, but that's a joke on the dad. He's like, what?
The braces are a joke on her. They just can't be nice to her.
No, you're right.
Or him.
So that's Road Trip. What a trip it's been. Final thoughts and star rating. Lacey, what are your stars?
This movie brought out a lot of things we don't need to say to other people about us. Star rating, God, I don't know. Three.
3 stars.
I need to do it on Letterboxd. God, why? I suck. I've been getting better at Letterboxd and still not good at it.
I need to send some emails to you.
I feel like we already had this conversation. You're still not producing. So, yeah.
Any other thoughts?
This movie holds up better than I thought it would. The same problems it had then it has now. It's fucking typical. It's definitely. I was glad you said it that it was a masturbation movie for you because that makes sense. This was a movie for guys, and I get that. I see that. There was just enough to make it interesting for me. I'm sure I only watched it with my male friends, though. There's no reason I'd be seeking this movie out with just me and my girlfriends. Mm-hmm. This was not for us.
Yeah, that's what it was for me. I think
it's a dick flick.
It's a dick flick, yes.
How is this not maybe it's a thing.
But I think it is a little better than I realized. I think it's pretty well made. Todd Phillips is annoying, but he's a pretty good director, and I think he has a good flair for visual jokes and for just managing comic personalities. I like all the one scene roles by all these comic actors, even for people like who I don't know if they're actual comedians, like the woman who plays the nurse who gives the prostate massage.
But she reads as a nurse, right there. She's very comedic. She does look familiar.
Yeah,
I'll bet she's a stand-up comic.
Yes, and
he seems very plugged into
exactly.
He seems like a comedian's comedian or like in that world.
And I like the 4 main actors. Breckin Meyer is just not. Isn't written well, and I don't think has the persona.
Can we make a McCarthy chart?
Okay.
I think that's interesting because I do like these vanilla people, and I think that I wouldn't have just plucked him from my memory because of the qualities you're describing. I would love to have a whole list of guys who fall into the McCarthy.
But I think that
Pie.
yes. But what you always say is like it's important that you have a boring person at the center.
These people are non-threatening to women. Do you understand? McCarthy is someone that I can get attached to. He's not too cool for me. He's not going to reject me. He's not a too confident sexually, so that he's not going to be a threat. He's not going to be a predator. You understand? I would never go in a room by myself with someone like a Van Wilder. I will get SA'd. Like that's. This is why these guys are appealing to people like me. But
you're wrong, because Breckin Meyer would essay you. He would film you and send your shit away.
I can physically overpower him.
That's what he does afterward. And Andrew McCarthy, that guy's he's going to destroy you.
Do you understand why I'm saying that this can be appealing to a woman and not to and for you not to get it makes sense that you don't get it?
Yes, we're just talking about different things. I'm talking about screen presence.
It is his lack of screen presence that makes him look...
Every time you say that, it drives me crazy. But I get...
You don't get it. It's fine. You love women that get SA'd. You love it. It's your favorite.
There's no rule against saying sexual assault. We're not going to get a shadow ban from podcasts.
I don't know why I keep saying SA. It just makes me feel like I'm up to code.
All right, what's next for us?
Two-person
we are
list
doing the movie Road Trip next week because I forgot to update.
It'll never fucking end. It is our Groundhog Day. I'll say it even kind of looks like the Groundhog Day poster.
But October 4th, 2024 begins our spooky month. October is for spookiness stuff and spooks and the CIA.
Get ready to be scared.
And we're doing episode 131 on Scream.
31. That sounds spooky.
Oh my God, why?
I don't know.
31 days of spooks.
Reverse
of 13, which is scary.
I don't know why.
So, Scream from 1996. That's a Lacey movie. That's a Lacey pick. A lazy pick.
Okay.
A Lacey pick.
You picked it. All right. But yeah, it's my movie.
Well, I forced you to name a horror movie you like.
Yeah, because you don't get why I would be scared of you in a dark room, and you don't want me to have Breckin Meyer as an option.
So that's the movie that we're talking
down
about.
My throat.
Next week, we'll see. We'll talk to you then. Until then, tell a friend about the podcast.
To next week, everyone say a little prayer for me.
And after you're done praying to Jesus, tell Jesus about this podcast. And tell Jesus to give us 5 stars.
An endorsement from him would be a real feather in our cap.
Be a real coup. We put all our episodes on YouTube, Load Bearing Beams Pod on YouTube if you're not already subscribed.
Code word swordfish. Code word swordfish. Anyone who says this to me in the chat, free hug.
Somebody did Neo.
Chicken. Yeah. Neo did a chicken. So swordfish. I'm going to forget by the time someone does it. I'm like, who is saying this to us? I mean, I'll know that part, but why are they saying it? Okay, I love you. Bye.
No.
Damn it.
Jesus.
Damn
it. Social media, we're on Twitter at LoadBearingPod, TikTok Load.BearingBeams, Load.Bearing.Beams, Instagram LoadBearingBeams, and you can watch clips from the episodes. I'm on Letterboxd at MattStokes9. Lacey's on Letterboxd at LoadBearingLacey. The music on the show is by my band Rural Route 9. I have that band with Wade Hemel and Patrick Perot, and Rural Route 9, RURAL, ROUTENINE is our band, and links in the description to listen to our music on Spotify and all the other places. That's the end of the episode.
H-O-T-O-O-G. I can't spell hot to go. Okay, I love you. Goodbye.
3, 4. Everybody, love Bearing Beams.